Alright, so we've seen that our Matinee works. We have directors set up, everything's working pretty cool. Now what I want to do is add a little bit of polish to this and touch it up a little bit. Okay, so in film, because we're doing the cinematics, so we're comparing this to film, but in film and video and broadcast TV and stuff like that, something that's used a lot to polish things up and kind of help us go from one camera shot to another a little bit smoother and with a little bit of continuity is transitions. Okay, if any of you out there have ever worked with video, then you're familiar with transitions. If you haven't, transition is basically a way that we go from one camera shot to another, and you've not probably, but you have definitely seen this before. Even if you don't know what it's called, you've seen this before, you just don't realize it. It's when you're seeing, like, say, a character close up and the camera changes to one that's far away looking at something else. Sometimes that'll happen abruptly, but many times editors and directors will add transitions like a fade or a dissolve, stuff like that. We can do that with our little James Cameron here, our director, pretty easily. If we right click on the director group itself, we can add all these different event tracks and float property tracks and stuff, but we have some special tracks just for director. Okay, if we go down here, we can add a fade track, slow-mo track, a few different things. We want to add a new fade track, so I'm going to click on that. That's going to create a fade track over here. Okay, pretty cool. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this fade track at the beginning, or I'm going to add a keyframe at the beginning, and then I'm going to go about 1 second in. So this fade is going to be, well, it could be 2 seconds if you wanted it to be. Let's just do 1 second for now. I'm going to hit enter again, and if I right click, I could set a value for this, which is now 0. And let's do this. Let me tear this menu off here, and a little bit hard to see, sorry about that. Again, I got to work with a very small amount of real estate space here. So okay, so right now it has a value of 0, which means that there's no fade. In order to make it fade, we'd have to set it to 1. But if I go to the second keyframe and I set that to 1, we're basically doing the opposite of what we want. It's not faded, and then it fades in, which obviously is incorrect. So let's set the second keyframe to 0, and the first one we'll set to 1. So now it's going to be black, and this will fade in really cool. See that? And then we'll go to the other camera shot. And that's the whole reason why I wanted to add that so-called buffer in between, because I wanted to give myself like that 1 second so that I can add a fade between the two shots. You don't have to do that. It's just something that it's my preference. It's what I do. So I'm going to go to, and I'm looking down here right now, so I'm going to go to 4 seconds, and I'm going to add another keyframe for fade. Make sure you have the fade track actually selected, and this one's going to have automatically a value of 0. So I'm going to go to about right here. About a second later, add another keyframe. This is going to have a value of 1. I'm going to go to about a second in, 6 seconds. Drop another keyframe, and that one will have a value of 0. So basically what we have is it goes to black, and then we fade back into the next shot. Pretty cool. And then we'll do one more transition. We'll come over here to this guy. Here's our 1 second buffer time. You can see here to here. So from 13 seconds to 14 seconds, that's our buffer time. I call it buffer time. That's kind of a dumb name. But anyway, I'll drop in a keyframe here, and I'll go to the next one here, drop another keyframe, get the second one, put in a value of 1, jump about a second ahead, so from 14 we'll jump to 15, drop another keyframe, and now what we have is we fade out, fade back in, And then finally, I'm going to set a keyframe about, this finishes at 21 seconds. So at about 19, I'll make this a 2-second transition since it's the end. Add another keyframe, go to the end, add another keyframe, take the second one, set that to 1, and now we should have a fade out right at the end, which we do. Okay, perfect. I'm going to close this and save my work. Now I'm very paranoid since I've had 2 major crashes kind of in a row. So let's go here to Matinee. Okay, let's preview this. So make sure that the director group is set to preview mode with the little yellow camera icon. And let's just hit play and see the whole thing. So we fade in, camera shot 1. We look up, we fade out, fade back in, camera shot 2. Gonna pan across. Pretty cool. We're gonna fade out. Camera shot 3 is gonna fade in. I'm gonna do the depth of field. And then we fade out. Done. Our cool cinematic is finished. Okay. Pretty cool. So I'm going to close the Matinee right there. And I'm going to save this. And alright, cool. So if you remember way back in the first video of this chapter, when I would hit play, the cinematic would automatically play and we would see a really cool cinematic. And that was the original cinematic that comes with this Cave Effects demo from Epic Games on the marketplace. Let's see what happens if I go ahead and play this now. Well, looks like we have ourselves a little bit of a problem. Our Matinee is not playing. So let me hit escape. Sorry if that was a little bit loud. Okay, so we've got ourselves an issue here, and the issue is that our Matinee does not play when we do this. Instead, we get dropped into the game and nothing happens. So you're probably wondering, well, what in the world's going on? Did our Matinee break? Did it get accidentally deleted? Is it gone? Well, no, it's still here. Hasn't gone anywhere. It still exists. The problem is we created a whole Matinee cinematic, but we haven't told Unreal yet, hey, this is what I want you to do with this cinematic. Play it whenever I jump into the game. Make it the first thing that happens when we play the game. You see, creating the Matinee is just part of it. You can't just create the Matinee and just, okay, there, I'm done, that's it. No, we have to tell Unreal when we're going to play this Matinee. Do we play this Matinee when the player walks in through that door that they just found a key to and they just unlocked for the first time? They open the door. Does the Matinee take over at that point and show a cinematic of the player finding, say, their friend who was captured by the enemy and tied up to a chair in this interrogation room? And we play a cinematic where, you know, our main character, our hero, unties his buddy, hands him a shotgun and says, alright, come on, we're going to fight our way out of this prison, or whatever it is. I'm just coming up with crazy ideas in my head. Yeah, I watch too many movies, but that's kind of the whole point. We have to tell Unreal when to play these cinematics because Unreal doesn't know. Do we play the cinematic when the helicopter crashes into the building? Do we play the cinematic when the shark jumps over the tugboat and eats the shrimp boat captain? Who knows? Unreal doesn't know, so we have to tell Unreal. And the way we tell Unreal is through Blueprint. So even though this is a Matinee tutorial, in order to get our Matinee to work, we're going to need Blueprint, so we're going to be dipping our toes into Blueprint a little bit. But this video has gone long enough. I think you've had a good dose of my rambling, so in the next video we'll pick up and see how we can use Blueprint to tell Unreal when to play our Matinee sequence.